Thanks for tapping in with 95 South TV, hosted by Icon E and King J, bringing you the best news and media through the efforts of the community. We interview nonprofit organizations, business owners, school teachers, spiritual leaders, and anybody who has an impact in the community that has a remarkable backstory. These professionals that we bring on this show has a story that will wow you, that will knock your socks off. And with that being said, we want you to tune in, keep it locked. We want you to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Be a dedicated listener. Come in, and if you require to do an interview, you can definitely reach out to us at 95southpodcast at gmail.com.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy, Icon, and we here on 95 South TV once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on this great platform with great people and great conversations. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna introduce everybody from my right to my left and go down. You know what I'm saying? I got my right hand man, your baby mama favorite host, Cowboys biggest fan. So he's a little bit depressed right now, but he not gonna show it. But he ain't in best mood right now. So I hope he can get through this interview without cussing somebody out. So I got my man King Jacob in the building. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, what up, fellas? Glad to be in the land of the living. You know what, man? You just so extra. You know what, man? Hey, man, Javon, calm your dad down. He always extra curricular activity, fella.
All right. Well, next I got my nephew, man. This is a big deal for me today because my brother see thing what my nephew don't know. King Jacob been begging me to bring my nephew on here for a minute, and it happened to be the right time to finally bring him on here because he heard about all the stuff he into. So I said I'm gonna get my family on here. We just got the timing got to be right. So unfortunately, it's not the best of situations, but we gonna talk about it. So I got my nephew Dylan Cowell in the building. What's going on, brother?
What's going on? What's going on? Glad to be on here, man. Glad to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, well, that's what's up. That's what. And then next, you know what I'm saying? This my son, and you know what I'm saying, right from the right from the scrotum, you know what I'm saying? CEO, COG Entertainment, you know what I'm saying? One half of the group Dove, you know what I'm saying? Just entrepreneur. He done did movie directing. He done did he was doing everything on the movie set. I'm like, damn. I said, well, anybody else gonna do anything besides you? You know what I'm saying, or whatever. But this is the one and only Javon Jones, aka Cream. You know what I'm saying? AKA the girls love him all day. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, son?
What's going on, y'all?
Yes, sir.
I'm just
Yes,
blessed to
sir.
be here.
Yes, sir. So the thing about today is, man, we come here a little bit with heavy hearts. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna give Jacob's cousin a moment of silence because this is what this particular episode is about. Kind of surrounded around her. So what we're gonna do is get a quick moment of silence, then we're gonna get into it. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna let Jacob explain who his cousin was and what he knows about what particularly happened last weekend out in South Carolina State. So I'm gonna give him the floor.
My cousin is Jalea Butler. She was 19 years old and went to South Carolina State University homecoming, and she was murdered while she was there. Um, so the first story I got, man, she was an innocent bystander, but then the story kind of developed, and it said like she had to be in some type of altercation. I don't know how true that is, but you know, it's it's tragic, man. And she was down there for the homecoming, went, chilling with some of her friends and stuff, and wanted to, have the lifestyle of, HBCU homecoming, historic black and you know, didn't make it back from the historic black college. So, but as I do my research, I've come to find out that there's been a lot of shootings going on at historic black colleges, and I just want to know why. Why, man? Like why, man? Why do we have to face a circumstance from people that look like me and you. You know, for people who are trying to elevate themselves at a higher learning institution, educational institution, so they can prepare themselves for life, so they can get a good career, get a good job, be able to, raise a family and be able to be a productive citizen of society as well as, making an imprint so other people can see their blueprint. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand it. And then, as I look around, man, people have been sharing different colleges and stuff on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook, TikTok about this is not, it didn't just start happening. It's been happening. I know it was happening, but I didn't know it was happening, repeatedly like that. And so, you know, I just asked the panel, what's their thoughts? Can we really get some answers as a whole?
Yeah, so Dylan, I'm gonna let you go first and just kind of talk about what you've experienced at your 3 or 4 years, if it's anything, whether it's a story you was told or things have happened or what you've seen when it comes to this particular topic down at FAMU.
Yeah, so with FAMU, one thing I've always noticed about a lot of HBCUs, a lot of the neighborhoods where the HBCU resides at plays a big role of what can occur at those schools. So one thing about Tallahassee, especially where Florida A&M is, it's in a predominantly black neighborhood. That doesn't mean it's the hood or the slums, but that's just where the black people are. So, if anything, the only thing that really ever happens is people who are who's been living in those communities for their whole life coming to a college party and they bringing what goes on in their neighborhoods to those parties. So you have a lot of innocent bystanders who are just there enjoying the time, and these people who live in those neighborhoods, they come and the promoters are inviting the whole city out. So that's college students, that's the locals in the area, that's the old heads that's been in the community for years and years. This is the people across the track at Florida State, across the railroad track. So they're all in one community. So if somebody has a problem with somebody out there, it's anything could happen at that point. So it's just about knowing which parties to go to, who's it being thrown by. If you know the people are cool with everybody, and you know they're inviting two different groups of the who don't really who oppose each other, is that a party that you really want to go to? So I've always just looked at it in situations like that where I'm not gonna just be fearful for my life for my entire college years, but at the same time, I'm here for there's a reason why I'm here. I'm not gonna if I hear about okay this party they somebody nobody got shot fortunately but they started shooting at those parties, and if that same promoter if that's his reputation, I'm not gonna go to his parties anymore. So it's been a lot of situations like that, but I just think with the rise of the politics, with the rise of black people getting more degrees, more black women are leading the higher education when it comes to master's degrees, PhDs. A lot of people are jealous of that. And I just think that's something that it's a scary situation for HBCUs in the future. And that's something that we really got to pay attention to, especially during times like homecoming, these different graduation parties, like homegoing parties. So at the end of the school year, when people are actually celebrating, completing all their work for the year, it's a time to really be to keep your head on the swivel. If you look at North Carolina A&T, they have their homecoming this weekend. If you pay attention, they have snipers up on the roofs of certain buildings,
Yeah.
Mm.
and,
Mm.
and that's something I've never seen before at FAMU at any home. I've never seen that. But at the same time, it's like, hey, this is the measures we got to take now. So I'd rather be on the offense than the defense, if anything, when it comes to situations like that. So I just think that was the biggest eye opener, and I just saw that earlier today because it happened yesterday on Saturday when they were showing, and they had about 4 or 5 snipers on the roof. Just watch it, everybody could see them too. So I just think that's just the current climate we're in, and especially certain states you're in too, like Florida. It's open carry, no license. People walking into gas stations with AK-47 with 30-round drums on them, and that's something like, hey, whoa, like what's going on? That's just the current climate we live in. So I just think for the sake of everybody, just keep your head on the swivel at these HBCUs, even at regular colleges too. Especially if you're somebody who has something going on for yourself, because people can get jealous. People can get stagnant at these schools and have nothing else going on except to hate on somebody else that's handling their business. So I just think that's really been something that I've noticed and how I've been able to internalize it for real.
Okay, before I get to tell you, Javon, let me ask you this: have you ever been to any particular party over the 4 years that either a fight or even gunfire or gunshots rung out while you was there?
Yes, plenty of times, especially like small things like house parties. That's really where a lot of stuff occurs, because like the formal ticket parties that my frat, other frats, other sororities throw, or like other groups on campus, like let's say SGA or something, stuff usually doesn't happen there. But those house parties where you paying $5 charge at the door and it's at somebody's house and it's only going to last about 2 hours because the police is in the, it's those type of events that you see the wildest events occurring.
Okay, Javon. What about? So I want to ask you about, because I know Fort Valley State. I've been down there a few times, and of course, you see the bando houses, and you see the poverty when you ride up on the Fort Valley, and that's not being funny. That's just real. When you pull up the Fort Valley, you see the poverty. You see it's a poverty stricken area.
Yeah.
And I know y'all have had several incidences. So just kind of talk about the things that you've been through or seen when it comes to any kind of violence at your school.
Well, I'll say like me and Jacob, we had this conversation a little bit. I feel like I agree with everything that Dylan's saying when it comes down to the understanding where you at, like understanding who you are, where you at, and understanding what parties to go to, knowing who the party promoters are, and all that. Like, of course, everybody's not gonna know who the party promoters are, but it's good to know who's doing what or whatever. So okay, I'm not gonna go over there because I already know how they get down or whatever. But I would say more so from my standpoint, it's different than like a school days type of situation where it's like, oh, we see y'all working and we want to be y'all. And no, it's flipped. A lot of people want to be, a lot of the college students want to be the locals. So a
Mhm.
lot of the college students, they're starting to join the gangs that's in the neighborhoods. They hanging out with the locals all the time. They partying with the locals. They just want to be around the locals. To them, that's what's cool. You know what I'm saying? These same people, they're from cul-de-sacs. They're from wealthy places. But these same students, because they want to look a certain way, they want to keep up a certain image, and because of our generation being, we glorify the wrong things. We want to. It's like that thing of I got something that I don't have this. I have this emptiness in me that I want to feel, and they think that that emptiness is being something that they're not, and that's how they end up getting killed. The Q Dog situation, I remember it was a couple years ago. That was probably one of the most famous shootings when it came down to HBCUs. But the situation got so out of hand, they penalized the Q Dogs for it or whatever. And the whole situation had to do with just like what Dylan said. A local had an issue going on. They had an issue with somebody else. The other person was there. They saw him, and they just opened up shots, and they didn't care who was around, and they end up getting one of the students killed at the school. Like even like it was one situation. This just one thing that would piggyback off of what he said when it come down to just keeping your head on the swivel. It was me, THD, Logical. We was at a party a couple years back, and we out there chilling or whatever, everything good. And I'm talking to this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but I just think he just talking to me because he drunk, feeling himself or whatever. But he just talking or whatever. He just talking about, man, whatever, I'm about to get down on these girls and la la la. So I was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Just party talk. And all of a sudden, I saw him look at somebody and start whispering. So I look at Darius, I start whispering. I'm like, hey, bro, we probably need to get up out of here. It was a Sigma party actually. And he was like, man, everything's straight. I said, nah, bro. I said, something going on over there. I don't know what's going on, but we need to leave. So about 2 minutes later, we left. We was walking away. Soon as we started walking away, shots rang out. And it was the same guy I was talking to.
Mm. Wow,
And the
wow.
thing about it is, he shot in the opposite direction, but the way it looked, I wouldn't even say that we would have gotten injured, but we would have gotten in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I've been in plenty of situations like that. Situation on camp. It was a whole, I don't even know how they even allowed this to happen. It was a whole crip party on campus. It was a crip
Mm-hmm.
party on campus in the
Mm.
dorm rooms. And the
Wow.
girl that threw the party, I went to high school with her, but she ended up coming to college with us.
Mm-hmm.
Whole crip party. They got guns. And I don't even know how they even got on campus. I don't even know how they even got the guns on campus because we got surveillance.
Yeah,
They in there with
yeah.
guns in there. They about the only reason why they didn't even shoot in there was because the RDs and the RAs got up there before they could even get to that point where they wanted to start shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm about to say, it's plenty of situations that I can tell you about where it's just nonsense, but it all stems from I want to look a certain way. I want
Mm-hmm.
to be hard. That's my side of the story. I want to be hard. That's how everybody feels. That's how, especially if we talking about just my side and what school I go to. That's
Mm-hmm.
where all of this stems from. Somebody that's not as hard as somebody else trying to prove they hard until the other person that's really hard show them that they hard, and now it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, Dylan, I see you still there. Dylan, you there? Yeah, I seen his picture. I seen that was still in the background. I was trying to make sure he was still. Dylan, you still there?
You hear me?
Hold on. Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. So this is what I want to ask you, Dylan. Going back to the security question, and Jacob, I'm trying to let them talk because we need to get this information from them as much as possible. But if you can jump in at any time, Jacob, you got a question.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get the perspective from them tonight. So we're doing this a little different. So Dylan, basically, when it comes to the security part, you made a good point when you said that you seen an AT&T's party, they had snipers on the roof. And
Hmm.
think about security when you said you could see them. That's the whole point of having security because you want the people to know that they're there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they know, okay, you act up, we gonna act up.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, do you believe that the colleges, that the HBCUs, to put more money into their security? Because like when I go to Fort Valley State, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, when you go through Fort Valley State's gate, like when we come to see Javon, me and his mama. So when they
Hmm.
see older people like us, they don't really flex on us. They don't really. Oh, okay, go ahead, mom and daddy. We could be bringing guns. We could be in weed. We could be doing. We could be in cahoots with our son to do some damage. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They don't know what's from Adam, but they don't look at us like that. They just look at us parents coming to see our children, so
Mm-hmm.
they kind of lax to not knowing what's coming on their campus. So do you think that the HBCUs need to do a better job as far as when it comes to security, whether it's the partying or if it's just everyday campus life?
Of course, of course. I always advocate for keeping your students, the people who reside on your campus, safe. And I think them taking those measures, like those snipers on the roof, that's the wake up call to everybody. Because there's no amount of running you could do. Because the way they're not on just like the 3 or 4 level buildings, they're on top of the stadiums. They're on top of the biggest buildings. That's where everybody's at, so you can get a full live view of everybody. And one thing I've always noticed about a lot of things that happen at campuses that are tragic, it's never at the main event. It's always at like the let out of an event or in the
Mm-hmm.
parking lot of an event
Mm-hmm.
of an event that's a few streets over. That's where a lot of things happen. So, but with them taking those measures like that, I think a lot of schools should pay attention to that. It might make this is gonna sound crazy, but it might make the wrong people uncomfortable, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I know if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, there's nothing that's gonna happen to me. And I know a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people think like that in the past, and things have not gone their way. But if you have that first level of a bird's eye security view, that's almost what it is, a bird's eye security view. And it's not just one set of eyes, it's 10 sets, 10 eyeballs looking at you or looking in in your area that are trained and paid to be there. So I think with those measures taking place, like it's only so much a pat down at the front door can do, because there's still
Mhm.
side doors that exist. There's still back doors that
Mm-hmm.
exist. People are still able to manipulate. So with measures like that, I think all, especially with the recent death of certain people in the news, and a lot of HBCUs are getting attacked. So and a lot of threats are being made to HBCUs. So I think, hey, we should take all the security measures, especially around homecoming, graduations, anything that's really advancing our people in the spotlight. That's when the security measures should really be taken, and even on an everyday basis. That's on an everyday basis. But those security measures should be taken.
Okay. Now, Javon, I want to ask you
So
this.
let me,
Uh, Go ahead,
I
Jacob. Go
can't,
ahead.
I can't,
Go ahead.
let me ask, and this is question for both of you guys. Now, I've come to know a lot about financial aid and a lot about the government funding, but I do know um, out of all the colleges for the funding, HBCU is Division three, NIA, then HBCU. You know what I mean? That they get the last bit of funding. And so
Yeah.
with that being said about the security measures, right? Um, is there funding to have better security? You know what I mean? As overall as a whole for the HBCU students.
In my opinion, I believe there's a way they can create funding.
Yeah.
As much as HBCUs have a reputation of having that grass cut 2 times a week, they're spending, that's thousands of dollars right there. The way these people are able to put together brunch parties for alumni on a
Mm-hmm.
monthly basis, there's funds there. As much as they're willing to put into other events like new dorms on campus, the funding for security is there, especially if you have alumni who are in the area that want to see the advancement of their HBCU that they graduated. They might have military experience, they might have gun safety training experience, where they can take on those roles of, if secure, there can be coalitions made, there can be groups made, there can be student led groups such as ROTC. They can utilize some of their training to do Overwatch for certain events. Just
Right.
having the presence of, they're a FAMU student, they're part of the community, and they're also looking out for everybody here. And they take pride in that. And I think that can be found on HBCU campuses as much as they've done for certain people that graduated from their schools and people who have just been around the community for that long. There can be neighborhood watch setups for parties that it just all it takes is the willingness of people to do it. But I think there is funding that can be made, and that
Okay.
example of having that grass cut, because HBCUs, they're known for that. That might not sound crazy in the grand scheme of things, but if you're a student and you see how much they pay attention to the
Mm-hmm.
grass, they can pay attention to security and keeping their students safe.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask when it comes to shoot, it slipped my mind. Go ahead, ask another question, Jacob. It slipped my mind just that quick.
So I hear a lot of people talk about the alumni brunches, the award ceremony that the alumni pay money into, right? And so and I also hear a lot of people, talking about the funding issue. Like I'm from South Carolina, so I know that Benedict College, Allen University, and South Carolina State was in trouble one time, and saying that they was going to shut the schools down because it wasn't enough funding. But once I found out how much money goes into the schools, so I would say you kind of need to keep a watch who's on them executive boards and stuff like that, because it's definitely hurting the kids. And so even with the security, I feel like if it's a homecoming that big, then We should have had some of the National Guard there. South Carolina sled. You know what I'm saying? Um, um, I feel like we should have had some of the Marine Corps there. You know what I mean? Because you're talking about a city that's going to bring in an extra 75,000 to 100,000 people
Mm.
in the small town of Owensboro, South Carolina. So that's a lot of people. I know when I used to travel to CIAA, it was 1.5 million more people in Charlotte that weekend, and 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 they used to have the National Guard out there. They used to have all type of police officers out there. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like when it comes to the historical Black College homecoming, you having over 100,000 more people traveling from all across the country to really coming to these homecomings, man. So why not call on the National Guard?
So if I could be honest, it's not important. The only way that it becomes important to HBCUs to instill security and all of that is if it becomes an uproar. If that makes sense. If everybody starts talking about it, if everybody's like,
Hmm.
we need security, we need to feel safe, even though we've been talking about it amongst ourselves at our school, at our selective schools, until it becomes a conversation, a real conversation, it's not going to happen. The even when it comes out to the HBCUs, they have a set list of things that they put into the budget. It's a lot of things that could have been done at my school, but they'll rather build like what Dylan said. They'll rather build new buildings. That doesn't matter. They'll create another student center just because they can, because they have the money to do that. But then in the same breath, don't have the money to build new housing for students, or to even give the right amount of financial aid to certain students or whatever. They it's a weird game that they're playing, but they have a rule. It's a rule set in place when it comes down to it. They're not going to get to that extent until they feel like it's jeopardizing their money. All of this still has to do with money. Like when it comes down to going to a HBCU, not even just HBCU, schools in general, but being that we're emphasizing on HBCUs, it's more about money when it comes down to it. That's why they always talk about money. That's why they always talk about they don't have money, because that's their way of trying to get all of the other students in, just so they can make way more money. Fort Valley made so much money a couple years ago, just to say the next year they ain't had no more money, but then they gave Chris Tucker a building.
Mm,
You feel what I'm
mm,
saying? It's the same. It's
yeah.
it's just been a conversation. This has been a conversation for a long time. It's
Well,
just
let me.
now, like basically what Dylan said with even the North Carolina A&T thing. It's gonna open up eyes, especially a school like North Carolina A&T. They're not playing around, so it's gonna make other HBCUs say, okay, you know what, we need to get with the program too if we want to quote unquote protect our students, even though it has nothing to do with that. And I hate to say it like that. I don't want to put that light on, especially not no HBCU. I don't feel like any college really cares about the students as much as they do the finances. But
Hmm.
I do feel like a lot of times when it comes down to HBCUs, the finances are more important than the students. That's just and it has all to do with the politics, not the people. It has all to do with the politics of how the school is ran. That's just my opinion.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask either one of y'all can answer this question. Let's just say you walk around on campus as students, and your mindset as young people are walking on campus. So y'all security, most y'all security is unarmed, right?
Hmm. If it's not police officers, we usually have like campus police officers that are in their trucks or walking
Yeah.
around. They are armed, but it's
Okay,
rare to see like a unarmed police or security.
okay. Well, let me ask this question then. Then at the same time, then when it comes to the all these colleges like we talked about is in black neighborhoods and basically poor black neighborhoods, because dang near every black college is like MLK on MLK Boulevard, Road, Avenue, Drive, and we all know MLK what that stands for, what that means when it
Yeah.
comes to this. So do y'all believe that that one, is it by design because basically the white folks don't want us in their neighborhoods, But if let's just say you put black neighborhoods in, let's say middle class black neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, or even, let's just say for argument's sake, you put the black colleges in Alpharetta, you know what I'm saying, or somewhere like that. Do you think it would you make a bigger difference or huger difference or bigger difference if they started putting these black colleges, or even if they had to move these black colleges to those neighborhoods? And what would be the good effect to it, and what would be a negative effect, if any, if you did that?
That's a good question. That's a good scenario. I think that if we were to take FAMU and put it in Alpharetta right now, I think there would be some stereotyping because the police that guard Alpharetta will look at these black kids not as college students but people in their community. So I think it'll be a more bigger crackdown on that. I do feel that it will be safer, but it would be in a place of danger if a wild political event was to happen, and that would be the number one place they would go.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Okay.
example, that assassination of that one man that recently happened, there have been a few bomb threats. There have been a few just threats in general to a lot of HBCUs the day after that happened. And that event happened all the way in Utah at a school where it's only about 6 or 7% black population. It had nothing to do with HBCUs, didn't have nothing to do with black people at all. And that is still the effect. So if that in that scenario that you stated, I think that people will probably focus on their education a little bit more. They might be a little bit more motivated to do well in school, to really make connections at school because they see what's the possibilities around them if they fully apply themselves. And then you're still going to have that select group of people like Taste or like Cream said earlier that come to school and try to be a whole new person than they are. They were the dude that was in chess club in high school, but now they trying to walk around with a whole gun in they bag,
Mm-hmm.
thinking they hard, trying to sell a few gram, some weed or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
trying to take on a whole new persona to fit that stereotype. Like, oh, I might be at this HBCU in this good neighborhood, but I'm still tough though, and that's
Yeah.
not who they are. So I think you're still going to have that select few of pick me dudes, pick me girls that's still going to try to cause drama just to have some type of excitement, because we know negativity is always going to be the thing that really trends.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that scenario, it's really a toss up. It's about the people that you invite onto that campus. If they're promoting, hey, we're promoting getting jobs, we're promoting healthy lifestyles, getting closer to God on this campus, and then you're gonna have that select few that's here for the girls. They here to party and they here
Mm-hmm.
to wait for that financial aid check.
Mm.
So, Icon,
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Yeah.
question for yourself, for Javon, and for DK. Check this out. I'm a political guy. I watch a lot of politics. We have some black senators. We have some black congressmen and congresswomen. And I listen to what they say and how, the Democrats go against the Republicans, the House of Delegates, the House of Representatives. I listen to all of that. But the people that look like me and you that's in this political forum, they never say nothing about the historic black colleges. They never talk about why the funding is limited. They never talk about how many doctors and lawyers that HBCUs have put in society that really are taking care of people. And so, since you guys are alumni or graduate HBCU, still attend HBCU, from the political forum when it comes to HBCU and the political forum, if they speak on it, I feel like we can get more safety measures. And so that's why I'm asking this. So why is it that our political people that we put in office never speak about the historical black colleges?
They're
Well,
programmed not to say nothing.
yeah, because for one, I'll say this: they kind of talk, or they kind of in the political world. To be honest with you, they don't really want HBCUs to exist. They don't.
Right,
It's just
right.
one of those things that just, years ago, whoever started it, and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. but that's why they don't really put the funding behind it. That's why it's kind of by design where the HBCUs are allowed to be at. So there's a lot that goes into that. So the politicians, and the thing about it is when politicians are trying to win the race, is the HBCUs really gonna be where they really feel like their bread and butter is. They probably feel like their bread and butter is gonna be at Harvard or gonna be at Yale or North Carolina or Duke, one of these what I'm saying, traditional schools. They're not looking at HBCUs. They probably looking at those black kids like those black kids over there not going to vote no way. If they do vote, they're not going to vote for the stuff that we actually agree with or we actually, fighting for. So at the end of the day, the voice over at the black schools, only the politicians going to go over there is they're probably that councilman that's in the neighborhood or maybe on the mayor, the mayor of the city when he's looking for his votes. But the governors and the senators and all of that, they're not gonna go. They're not gonna really go to. If they do go to black colleges, it's gonna be the last week of the race. A few days before.
Mhm.
If their campaign manager tells them your numbers is low at FAMU or your numbers is low at Fort Valley State, so go out there and talk to these kids at the last minute. And the kids out there are not dumb. They smart enough to know you just here because you trying to get that last minute vote. You know what I'm saying? We not
Yeah.
playing that because you should have been here when you first started the campaign and throughout.
Yeah.
Don't come at us at the last minute, the last week, and think you're gonna get our vote. That's my opinion.
Now what's now what's interesting about that right there is they stay in the black church, but they won't go to the black historic college.
Because the
I have
black church
seen
has
them.
more because the black church has more influence on the community in the neighborhood. So the pastors in a black church in a black neighborhood can go to their flock and go to the neighborhood and say, you need to vote for, let's just say, mayor candidate Dylan, mayor candidate Javon. You know what I'm saying? Because we know how it is when people get behind a black pastor. You know what I'm saying? We've seen black pastors do all kind of heinous stuff, and if your flock is with you, they with you.
You good.
So whatever you tell them to do, they're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? That's why, especially if you got a black church that has a big following, like a couple of 1,500 people, 700 people, whatever. Like a Creflo Dollar or a TD Jakes or somebody like that. When they have those mega followings, then of course they're gonna go to those churches.
Mhm.
You know.
I
So
really
I go
think
ahead, fellas.
I really think King Jacob, you hit it on the head. You said something that was very important that really just impacted FAMU too. Who's on that board of directors? And I
Mm.
say that because in recent times, FAMU just went through a change of presidents, and now the president of FAMU is a Republican, pretty much a Trump supporter. It's a
Right.
black woman, Trump supporter, big heavy
Mm.
heavy heavy big time Republican. She took away money. She took away about 100 and then $150,000 away from the band for her personal salary. She probably making 450 $600,000 a year, and the school does not like it. And it's crazy because the Florida Board of Governors, or the Florida Board of Governors, they elected the last chair for her vote the day before she was elected. And it's a few black people on that board. It's a few white men on that board. We were able to see who voted for her to be appointed to this position. And now it was about six of them that voted in favor, and then three of them that voted nay. And now those six people are under a lot of scrutiny at FAMU because they're saying they sold us out.
Mm.
And
mm,
Mm.
campus
Mm.
does not like her at all. We just had convocation not too long ago, which is the president's pretty much just it's a ceremony in the auditorium or in the basketball gym, just saying like let's start the year off on a good note. Let's talk about the donations we've had. People were not fond of her at all, and this is because we've had the last president. He was
Mm.
like about 10 years running, and the only reason his term ended because of
Mm.
a fraudulent check that was written for about $237 million that made the headline, and it ended up being fake. So that situation was so bad, and this was right around that time of a lot of political influence was going on for the next, uh, after the recent presidency win. So once they were able to do that, and we are in Florida as well. So as we do that, a lot of their policies are getting moved into HBCUs so they can say they're giving us funding because look who's in power. But it's not somebody that the people voted. That's something that the board of governors voted, and it's being heavily influenced, almost manipulated by the board of governors. So it's definitely going on at a lot of schools, especially in these red states. It's definitely a lot of manipulation, a lot of change behind closed doors that you can't see until it's too late.
Yeah. And
It's
like
funny you
Dylan
say that,
said,
man. Go ahead, Jay.
just to add to what he said, I don't know if this is known information yet, but they're about to start defunding a lot of HBCUs.
Yeah.
They're about to start
Yeah.
defunding them because it was a conversation that was had about graduation rates. But when you look at the graduation rates, like the schools that they mentioned, maybe 90% of those schools are HBCU schools. And they say if your school graduation rates are under 50% in the next 2-3 years, there will be no financial aid to go to the schools.
Hold on. Time out. Did you say, hold on. So it's HBCUs that got a graduation rate under 50%?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
regular schools that got this it's PWIs that got graduation rates under 50%. Because you gotta think about it. Think about it like this, Dad. Well, Icon, think about it like this. My freshman year, my freshman year when I went to Fort Valley, you know all them students that I came in with. Remember, COVID hit. That still counts as the acceptance. You feel what I'm saying? So if the
Mm,
acceptance rate is 99% and the graduation rate is under 50%, so think about a lot of those students that I came in with, they didn't come back for their sophomore year. Remember, I was out there by myself for a little bit until I met some people. And that was my sophomore year because everybody left. Everybody that got accepted, and in the books it says that they were Fort Valley State University students. They're considered dropouts and they considered not graduates. So think
mm,
about this happens every single year at all of these colleges where you might get 8,500. No, I'm saying that's very exaggerated. You get 2,000 new students. Maybe 500 of those students will return. Maybe
mm.
Yeah.
500 of those students will return from that class. Will
Okay.
return.
Yeah.
They always say, look to your left, look to your right. One of these people
The
aren't going to be
same
here by the
question.
time you finish.
Hmm.
They say that every time. Every freshman convocation. Like Dylan
Mm,
said, look to your left,
Yeah.
look to your right.
mm.
And it's never
Somebody
just,
in this,
yeah.
Well,
you ain't gonna see somebody gonna be gone next year.
Yeah.
Somebody might be gone next month.
well, to be honest with you, gentlemen, and they ain't gonna tell you that on the news, or they ain't gonna write it up in the newspapers and stuff like that, man. But that happens more in Division 1 than anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
Than
Hmm.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got cousins that went to Clemson. I got cousins that went to University of South Carolina Gamecocks. I know people that went to Florida State, that went to Miami. But they be like, man, it's so many people that drop out of school after their freshman or sophomore year, man. So they try to put their highlight on HBCU because it's black students, but that happens more in Division 1 than anything.
And
When you think about D1 though, like a lot of those students, a lot of that population is black students, black athletes, black musicians. We talking about D1, like the schools you just mentioned. They not considered black schools. Those are black schools
hmm.
because most of the
Well, I'm
people
gonna
that get
say this.
accepted to go to those schools and get money to go to those schools are black athletes
Yeah, I'm gonna say this because we got to get
or
up. We
black
got to get out of here.
what is it,
Go ahead.
media doing science. They're doing science or biology, and like it's those two. It's just the upper class black students. Some of the students might be from lower class, but that's only if they talented enough to get into those schools.
Mm.
True
Well, I'm
indeed.
gonna say this
True
before. I'm
indeed.
gonna say this before we get out of here. And the thing about people don't talk about when it comes to the so-called like white schools or the bigger schools, one thing few things they have probably more than even the black schools do. They have a high rate of suicide because of the pressure they have to graduate. They have a high rate of drug abuse because a lot of those kids are up late night popping mollies and doing drugs to stay up to pass that test. And they have a high rate of sexual assaults. You know what I'm saying? Because you got those privileged white boys who think that pretty little white girl on campus, you know what I'm saying, supposed to give him some if he asks for it. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of the three things. Because you know what I'm saying, and you know how you can tell. And watch something like Law and Order. Law and Order has probably an episode once every at least once a month on sexual assault on colleges, on college campuses.
Facts.
That's not
Facts.
that's not that's not like by mistake. That's because if you watch those shows like Law and Order and FBI and NCIS, they tell you what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we trying to blind eye to it. But I appreciate y'all guys coming on tonight. You know what I'm saying, and giving us y'all time or whatever. Um, we definitely got to have this conversation again and keep it going.
Definitely.
But the one thing I say, what Dylan said earlier, is we gonna have to be the change. We're gonna have to speak out on stuff. We're gonna have to come together, maybe put a group of people that's really serious about it as we move forward into this new year to kind of, and even like with me and Jacob working with this label and stuff now and doing a lot of, we're gonna be doing a lot of community work. Maybe we need to have different concerts and stuff against violence on campuses so we can have those panels to come on and talk to the kids and talk to these colleges about ramping up the security and making sure that, because at the end of the day, yes, about money, but the students is what keep those doors open. If without
Mhm.
the students, it don't matter how much money you got. If you don't got the
That's right.
students, if you can't keep them safe and keep them alive. So we got to get back. We got to. One thing I was told that we got to keep the main thing the main thing. You know what I'm saying? And the main thing is the students and their education, and especially in the black community, because y'all are the future or whatever. Because we got so much violence going on that the students that do want to have a education, they shouldn't be on campus having anxiety about what's gonna happen every time they walk out their dorm rooms. So
Right.
so I appreciate y'all coming on, giving us y'all
Hold on, my
time.
son. Hold
What's
my
up?
son.
What's up?
Hey man. Hey man. Your family owe me some money, bro. Ask
Why
me
they
why.
why?
I'm KA&R and I'm DK campaign manager. Yeah, run me my bread.
Hey, hey, I wouldn't be surprised Dylan be running for something in the next 5, 10 years. Ain't no telling,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
man.
Especially
Yeah.
with my
Yeah,
sisters.
man.
I'm pretty much sure my sister done browbeat all of us when it comes to that politics. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ran for something in the next 10, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And we'd be right there with him. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Helping him run his campaign.
Yes, sir.
Facts. We
You know
running
what
to
I
the
mean?
bag
Yes, sir.
first, though. We running to the bag
We gotta get the
first.
bag first.
I know
Yeah.
that's right.
We gonna get that too for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I appreciate y'all coming on. I love both of y'all. Y'all be safe out there. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
Always keep your head on the swivel. You know what I'm saying? I don't care where, especially you, Dylan, you was working in a bank. Javon, you out there with them white folks out there at the Cracker Barrel. You know what I'm saying? They don't care and stuff. Yeah, at the barrel. So both of y'all better keep your head on the swivel. You know what
For
I'm saying? But if
sure.
y'all need anything from me, yeah, I'm always one call away. Love both of y'all. Y'all both have a good night.
Peace,
Appreciate
fellas.
you. Love y'all.
Peace.
All right.
Love y'all.
Brown skin girl, and she knew I was out to go and clear my mind. The girl, she's